Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
From your earliest moments on the Great Plateau to the triumphant final battle against Ganon, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild constantly defies expectations. It introduces fun new twists to the Zelda formula and leads you to beautiful, awe-inspiring discoveries. Every inch of Hyrule feels meticulously planned, from the way animals graze in a field to how enemies interact when they don't know you're watching. Breath of the Wild takes every tenet that defines a Zelda game and rethinks it, allowing you to make your own path in absolutely any order and at absolutely any pace.
Here.
This is it then.
Nintendo has created one of the most limitless open-world games ever made, with no restrictions and no hand-holding. Breath of the Wild finally lives up to the promise that you can go anywhere you can see, introducing one of the most natural climbing systems of all time and making almost no obstacle impossible to overcome. Combat is similarly flexible and intuitive. Combined with over 100 puzzle-filled shrines, a Korok seed around every corner, and even new challenge modes post-launch, it's easy to sink hundreds of hours into this world.
100 years in the making. Hold on, princess. Our moment has arrived.
On Switch, Zelda proves how powerful taking such a massive adventure on the go can be. It's a perfect proof of concept for Nintendo's portable/console hybrid. Breath of the Wild is just as wonderful in a short session on the bus as it is for hours on the television in your living room, which is something none of us thought was possible before 2017. With no forced motion controls and no gimmicks, Breath of the Wild is a game you can play how you want, where you want, and for as long as you want. Nintendo made a masterpiece that rivals even the most beloved entries in Zelda's past, while redefining open-world games for the future. From start to finish, Breath of the Wild builds on years of rich history and seamlessly weaves franchise staples with new ideas to make an experience that is truly special. This is not only the best game to come out of Switch's first year, but easily among the best launch titles of all time. If you liked this video, you can check out our videos for Game of the Year and Movie of the Year, and for all things video games, stick with us here at IGN. Cuphead is an incredible juxtaposition. It brings joy and beauty to your eyes while simultaneously delivering white-knuckle tension and sweat to your controller-clutching hands. It's this satisfying dichotomy that helped Cuphead clinch our award for Best Xbox One Game of 2017. Every discussion of it simply must start with its visuals. Its creators at Studio MDHR drew every single frame of Cuphead, colored it, and inked it all by hand. Its original, era-perfect soundtrack is scratchy like vinyl, but smooth in your eardrums. And that brings us to Cuphead's gameplay. After years of demonstrations at events and trade shows, we were worried that Cuphead couldn't possibly live up to the hype. But Studio MDHR proved its mettle instantly, with the boss rushes, run-and-gun sections, and cutscenes all gelling into a pristine, unforgettable romp. Strategies abound, aided by a cool variety of weapons and power-ups, and the local two-player co-op mode possesses the ability to alternately test and strengthen your friendships. Somehow, Cuphead's notorious difficulty never quite feels unfair, and each newly defeated boss feels like a true accomplishment. Tens of thousands of developers work hard every day on the games we all enjoy, but how many of them mortgage their homes in order to fund their dream project? The MDHR team did, and it makes it all the more easy to root for them as Cuphead passes each new sales milestone, currently standing at well over 1 million and counting as of our Game of the Year vote.
Bravo!
In short, Cuphead is everything in games that should be celebrated. A passionate group of developers who created art by any definition of the word, and it's art we can play and enjoy for hours on end, with or without a friend. Cuphead is special, and the long wait we endured before it arrived, it turns out, was well worth it. If you liked this video, you can check out our videos for Game of the Year and Movie of the Year, and for all things video games, stick with us here at IGN. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds' impact on the gaming world in 2017 was nothing short of a phenomenon. Within its first few months in early access, the unassuming Battle Royale shooter saw epic sales numbers and reached record peak concurrence among the most played games on Steam, alongside PC gaming staples like Dota 2 and CS:GO. In less than a year, PUBG inspired other games to develop their own Battle Royale modes, topped charts on popular streaming services, broke into the world of professional esports, and became the second best-selling PC game of all time. And it did it all without even leaving early access. It's for these reasons and more that IGN has crowned PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds PC Game of the Year for 2017. PUBG's massive and immediate success is a testament to the power of its simple yet enduring design. Even though every game starts the same way, with up to 100 players airdropping onto a huge island, the ensuing fight for survival is always different. Each one shares moments of adrenaline-pumping terror, intense close calls, and the occasionally hilarious stunt. But even 1,000 hours in, no two games will ever look alike. That's true whether you're tackling a match in its tense solo mode or rolling in with a squad, each approach bringing interesting new dimensions to an already strong setup. Whether you're alone or with friends, PUBG capitalizes on the unpredictability of emergent online encounters to keep each new round fresh and keep the stakes high, without the huge time investment you see in other survival games. It manages to keep rounds quick and accessible without sacrificing the weight of each decision, making its moment-to-moment gameplay a thrill from start to finish. Do you make a risky landing at one of the island's hotspots, where better gear is as plentiful as the pool of bloodthirsty and well-armed players? Or do you play it safe and scavenge quietly on the outskirts of town, praying for a scope to hunt for stray survivors on the hills? Few gaming moments this year amount to the sheer tension of moving towards the center of the shrinking boundaries as PUBG forces you into ever closer and more dangerous encounters with the last players standing. Even fewer have been as exciting, intense, and ultimately rewarding as the final epic standoff at the very end of a match. Sometimes earning that coveted chicken dinner looks like a quick and dirty firefight with bullets and grenades flying in every direction. Other times it looks like a stealthy crawl through tall grass to ambush a poorly positioned opponent with one clean headshot. It looks, quite literally, like several million different things to several million different people, which is exactly what made PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds so special this year. We all load up PUBG knowing what sort of experience to expect, and each time we walk out with our own awesome stories to tell. Some of devastating defeat and others of sweet, sweet victory. Stories that are, no matter how big or small, uniquely ours. While other PC games this year let us occupy fantastic worlds and contend with awesome challenges, it was the allure of single-handedly winning a 100-player deathmatch in a game based on a mod based on a movie that we can't stop thinking about. If you liked this video, you can check out our videos for Game of the Year and Movie of the Year, and for all things video games, stick with us here at IGN. Horizon Zero Dawn features one of the year's most beautiful open worlds, Jurassic Park-inspired robots, and tantalizing mysteries. Its main activity, combat, makes every minute of Horizon Zero Dawn a thrill, and it's all grounded by a new video game icon, Aloy. We loved it so much that we've awarded it the PlayStation 4 Game of the Year. The story behind Horizon's post-apocalyptic landscape is initially obtuse. Why is this world infested with primitive machines, and what happened to our world that seems to be buried in the periphery? It's a tantalizing mystery that unfolds with delicacy. Even though the broad ideas that Horizon prods at are remarkably ambitious, Aloy's wit and calm strength are always there to remind you that this is a very human story. You want to play as Aloy not only because she's an army of one, but because she's just so effortlessly likable.
Why did they cast you out?
Murder. You?
Birth.
Of course, as grounded as Aloy is, she also has to fight massive, awesome Dinobots too. The variety of form and function found within these 26 species make every fight in Horizon feel unique and breakneck. You can destroy a giant lumbering bellowback by piercing its explosive gullet, or tether a flying stormbird to the ground. And though Horizon gives you enough tools to feel like a smooth, accomplished warrior, its skirmishes are still challenging enough to make it seem like you survived every major fight by the skin of your teeth. Not that every encounter in Horizon needs to end in a woman versus machine fight. Stealth is also a major feature, and the ability to override these machines and turn them into your own personal army has made for some of 2017's most spectacular video game moments. Horizon's massive open world is peppered with color and a variety of terrains. It's without a doubt this year's best looking game, not only because it raises the bar for 4K HDR presentation on the PS4 Pro, but because its landscape feels so cohesive and real. Underground bunkers or the calcified remains of a skyscraper among wild, bright green flora and fauna suggest a forgotten world lined by snow-capped mountains and rivers. Stumbling across massive lumbering machines as you quietly traverse this lost world makes for unforgettable moments.
Silence! I am your war chief.
And I am a seeker anointed by the High Matriarchs. So open the gate, and I will be on my way.
With Horizon Zero Dawn, Guerrilla has managed to make a brand new game that already feels iconic. Considering the scope of its open world and the ambitious ideas behind it, the level of polish on display here is, in a word, wild. We can't wait to see where Aloy goes next. If you liked this video, you can check out our videos for Game of the Year and Movie of the Year. And for all things video games, stick with us here at IGN.
Well, look what the cat dragged in.
Hands down, the most haunting and provocative TV series of the year was Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. It's a sleek and superb adaptation of Margaret Atwood's seminal dystopian novel about a 5 minutes from now future in which violent fanatical Christians have taken over America, and the few fertile females left in the land have been stripped of all rights and transformed into prized livestock for the rich and powerful. It was a brutal, soul-crushing show to behold, but it was also 2017's best TV series. Some viewers may not have been actively seeking out such a grim and depressing series in 2017, but The Handmaid's Tale, ushered to the screen by The Hundred's Bruce Miller, found itself falling into a scary, unforeseen pocket of social relevance. In the middle of a tumultuous year, some of the most nightmarish and outlandish aspects of the show's totalitarian landscape perhaps didn't seem so far-fetched. Praised by critics and audiences alike, The Handmaid's Tale was the most sinister, vivid, and buzzed-about series of the last decade. Elizabeth Moss's Emmy Award-winning performance as Offred, formerly known as June Osborne back when women were allowed to have jobs and, basic human rights, was one of touching humanity, fierce anger, and formidable trauma. The rest of the cast, including Ann Dowd and Joseph Fiennes, delivered excellent performances as well, but it was Gilmore Girls star Alexis Bledel as the perpetually tortured Ovglen who surprised viewers with a riveting portrayal of anguish at the center of rampant atrocity. Her scenes during the final minutes of the third episode, Late, stand as the most harrowing and jarring TV moments of the year. While The Handmaid's Tale can be a morbid and weighty show to watch, it's also an important one. With stunning visuals and a keen knack for suspense, this edge-of-your-seat series spins a wicked yarn about female slavery and forced surrogacy. It will fill you with dread and make you look at your own reality in a different light. TV shows don't have to be considered timely in order to be great, but The Handmaid's Tale managed to find a sweet spot with horrifically relevant themes and an expertly crafted story that showcased both the best and worst of humanity. If you liked this video, you can check out our videos for Game of the Year and Movie of the Year. And for all things TV, stick with us here at IGN.
Blessed are the meek.
And blessed are those who suffer for the cause of righteousness. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I remember. Your story isn't over yet. There's still a page left.
Arriving 35 years after the original, Blade Runner 2049 is an amazing film on its own merits that stays faithful to its predecessor while still finding ways to transcend it. It's that rare breed of film that already feels like an instant classic, and that's why it's IGN's best movie of 2017. Ryan Gosling stars as Agent K, a Blade Runner whose mission remains the same as Harrison Ford's Deckard's was in the original: track down and retire any renegade replicants. As Kay navigates the dangerous days of this world, 2049 poses its central question. Does it really matter who's a replicant and who's not?
Happy birthday.
The line between a human and android is more blurred than ever here, and the effects of that blurring bear a heavy emotional weight for the characters and the viewer. Director Denis Villeneuve made a $100 million plus extravaganza that's more art film than cookie-cutter action spectacle. Shot by the legendary cinematographer Roger Deakins, every image in 2049 is gorgeous and dripping with color, life, and feeling. Together, the pair are able to fully realize the mood and atmosphere of the piece. Not only have the filmmakers successfully recreated the world of Blade Runner, they've built up from its solid foundations. 2049 delves into the original film's infamously ambiguous endings, picking up the trail of Rick Deckard. When he finally does appear, Harrison Ford's performance is worth the wait. A quiet, gut-wrenching interpretation of what Deckard must have been through over the past 3 decades.
I know. What do you want? I want to ask you some questions.
One of the greatest fears going into a Blade Runner sequel was that it would simply, replicate the innovative and influential aesthetics Ridley Scott introduced with the original, while replacing the first film's heart with a more black and white, good and bad Hollywood cop story. But thankfully, 2049 plays off of the themes, plot, and characters of the 1982 film without cannibalizing it or retroactively ruining any of those elements. Instead, it organically expands and grows what came before. It's a rich, deep, smart film that's visually jaw-dropping, full of great sci-fi concepts, and one that was well worth the 35-year wait. If you like this video, be sure to check out our videos for Game of the Year and TV Series of the Year, and for all things movies, TV, and video games, keep it right here on IGN.
We are proud to announce IGN's 2017 Game of the Year is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. In a year full of outstanding games, Breath of the Wild won us over with its unprecedented freedom and incredible attention to detail. It reimagines what an open world can be and redefines the Zelda series in the process. It captivated us for months on end. And we still haven't seen everything that this new version of Hyrule has to offer.
Back in 2014, Nintendo gave us our first glimpse of what would eventually become The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. From the very beginning, we knew we were looking at a dramatically different take on the Zelda series.
Fast forward 3 years, and that initial sense of wonder and curiosity would come to define our experiences in Hyrule. This is an adventure so wildly imaginative and forward-thinking that it deserves every bit of praise it's garnered.
Breath of the Wild is a daunting, beautiful, and groundbreaking feat of open-world genius. Each moment spent in the lush forests and ruined fields of Hyrule is decidedly purpose-driven, but it's up to you, the player, to determine that purpose.
Every rock you pick up or mountain you climb brings you one step closer to an objective that you may not have even realized you were pursuing. This moment-to-moment sense of discovery is just so rewarding. Whether it's a single Korok seed or a powerful new weapon or something totally unexpected, you're always finding something new.
This degree of care is evident in every inch of the map. The thousands of hours Nintendo poured into each discovery are proudly displayed in every shrine, atop each snowy peak, and in every unique village. These tiny details pull you along and encourage you to explore, if only to see what's over the next hill or around the next bend.
Breath of the Wild's exploration is rooted in the concept basically that if you can see it, you can get there. And while any sort of open world has points of interest, here you'll stumble upon them organically in any order you please, however you choose to get there. Nintendo has created the most limitless open world game ever made.
For decades, The Legend of Zelda has remained mostly the same: dungeons, the Triforce, hidden heart pieces. But with Breath of the Wild, the team at Nintendo looked back to the very first Legend of Zelda to reinvent the series in a way that pays homage to the games that came before it, but presents players with something wholly unique.
Each obstacle has innumerable ways to be conquered. Does your next objective lie just beyond a mountain range? Why go around when you can just simply climb up and over? This simple and intuitive system eliminates boundaries and allows you to carve paths and create shortcuts in a way that feels completely natural.
So possibly more impressive are the physical and chemical engines always at work in the background of your adventure. You'll solve puzzles by building insane Rube Goldberg machines out of blocks of ice and debris that shouldn't work, but do. You'll take out hordes of enemies by luring a lightning rod into striking the middle of their camp. These systems fit together naturally and seamlessly like puzzle pieces and allow for nearly endless combinations. If you think something should work, it usually does.
Breath of the Wild tells an unconventional Zelda story. You're thrown into the adventure in its third act. The good guys have lost, and it's up to our amnesia-stricken hero to put the pieces back together and defeat the forces of evil once and for all. It's an entirely different kind of Hyrule. Broken but optimistic, bizarre but familiar, sparse but full of colorful towns and characters to guide you. As you work your way through Link's lost memories over easily hundreds of hours, you'll find a tale of resilience and hope.
Some games just have an unavoidable buzz. In March of 2017, you couldn't turn a corner in the IGN office without being pulled into a conversation about Zelda.
It easily brings to mind those schoolyard conversations inspired by Breath of the Wild's predecessors. As a team, we spent most of 2017 exploring every nook and cranny of Hyrule's expansive map, swapped stories of our adventures, and celebrated the chance to put on Link's green tunic once again.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a powerful, thoughtful game that will stand the test of time. It reimagines what came before and remakes it into something brand new, yet still familiar. It's an instant classic and is destined to become an all-time favorite. For all these reasons and many more, we thank Nintendo and congratulate them on what can only be described as a truly remarkable achievement in gaming history.